It's like morning piss. Sorry. And, yeah, there you go. Green and blue. That's about as bad as it gets. That's about as bad as it gets. Hopefully this doesn't take that long. Hopefully this doesn't take as long as the previous challenge did. Let's see. Let's go into it. The Super Mega Cart. So it's the easy carts. You have 10 lives, I think? 9 lives? Wait, but I think there's a 0th life, so that should be 10 lives. I'm not gonna care about the rings, though it is kind of satisfying to collect them. This is now me no longer caring about the rings. Oh, okay. Good to know. You know what? I think I'll probably reset on that one. Because, you know, just warming up here, just warming up. That wasn't a true and honest attempt. Should I probably, like, do the carts individually before doing the Mega Cart version of them? Yeah. Definitely. 100%. Oh, okay. Dude, it's weird getting used to the momentum again. Should probably not go all the way up there. That made it way easier to tell what I was doing. Oh my god. Dude, have I regressed this much? It hasn't been that long since I did the, acceptance challenge. I'm gonna keep going. Oh god. Hopefully I don't have to wait on too many cycles. That was one thing that started to get to me about the acceptance one, was the fact that, I mean, I could have, like, definitely found faster cycles than the ones I was going for, but there were a few screens that I felt, at least, like I needed to wait for a particular, like, easy cycle. That was probably just me being dumb, like I always am. Alright, so that works. Guess I'm just going up and over. Yeah, that's easy enough. Look at that, we're already out of the first area. Easy baby game. You know something I genuinely considered? And I might do it after this if this doesn't take that long. Because I'm kind of hoping that this doesn't take that long. Oh, God. It's gonna take a real long time at this rate. I gotta pick up the pace a bit. Because this is some bad platforming. But, to get into more good platforming, I was considering doing a fan game. Can you believe it? It's been a while since I did one of those. And it's not gonna be K2. Like, I'm not giving up on K2, but it's just like, you know. It's kind of miserable. It's not particularly the most enjoyable fan game I've played. At least, like, I don't know, the current boss I'm on, why am I bad, first off? The current boss I'm on is just like, ugh. So slow, not particularly difficult, and then they just throw you into, like, the complete pattern memorization avoidance section. It's just not what I love to see. Not what I love to see. Especially because it's, like, a real avoidance thing. So it's the kind of avoidance that, like, if you don't know the patterns, you just have to, like, watch a fucking video on how to do it. Even after watching a video on it, I still didn't really get what I was supposed to be doing. Dude, I suck. Alright. Oh, yeah, I'll continue. I didn't realize those were an option. Alright, so it's more like 30 lives. Or I guess 40? I don't know if there's a... Well, I guess there would be, yeah, there would be at least 4, maybe even 5, if there's a 0th continue, though that makes no sense. Like, 0th life, I can understand. 0th continue, you're getting a bit ridiculous. But I can't remember, like, does the game punish you at all for using the continues? Because if not, like, I have no problem using the continues to make this not take a decade. I feel like I've proven my gamer abilities with acceptance. I don't need to spend another, you know, 10 streams doing something really grindy. It is like, I don't know, despite not really liking endurance challenges, it's definitely the more fun kind of grinding. Like, there's some excitement to a grind that at any point you could win versus a grind like, you know, the music we're listening to right now, which is just the, I mean, in both cases, victory is usually inevitable, but with RuneScape's case, you are, like, forced to take a specific amount of time. There are ways of optimizing it so that you go faster than other people. Oh, I didn't realize what that was. Alright. You can definitely be faster than certain people who aren't doing the most optimal route to success. But, no matter what, there is a minimum amount of time sunk that you have to reach before you can succeed. I mean, you know, same is the case for what I'm doing right now, but... and, like, the acceptance challenge. Where do I breathe? God, this is, like, basically the same color. Not the best, okay, you can breathe there. I mean, the Endless Nigh has always kind of had a problem with visibility, but especially in these carts right now. It's like, I can't fucking tell what's safe from the gas and what's not. In some of these screens, at least. Yeah, the same could be said for, like, the acceptance challenge. There is, like, a minimum amount of time that it needs to take to complete the acceptance challenge. But the difference is, like, you know, from, like, a few minutes to beat it to, like, you know, if you wanted to get, like, 99 woodcutting, for example, there's, a large amount of hours needed to spend to do that, even with, like, the most optimal strategy. Dude, I suck. What happened? Turns out I'm not actually good at platforming. I just got very good at, the particular screens and at the acceptance challenge. I honestly, like, that's kind of how that works, though. It's not even that outlandish to suggest. Like, I am not the best at platformers, but, dude, you gotta do re-grabs? What the fuck? I mean, you probably don't have to, but it makes it easier. Dude, no. Speaking of re-grabs, that's another thing that I've talked about a few times, but I guess you can just let go of the button, but then that takes forever to wait for a good cycle. I, have considered doing more Mario hacks, including ones that aren't N64. Dude, I don't know. Is it just me, or is the hitbox on these guys in particular a little finicky? It's probably just me. I mean, the hitboxes in general feel a little bit finicky on the cart levels. You just kind of get used to it after a while. Okay, can't make that. Gotta go this way. Understood. That's... okay. I was gonna say, is that death or just a weird screen? The answer is just a weird screen. Okay, I'm very good, as you can tell. I got, like, nothing set up for, like, conversation, because honestly, like, the past few days have been a fucking wreck of me. You know, I did get my sleep schedule fixed, but it's just like me waking up, working on my game, and then, like, not doing basically anything else for the rest of the day. Probably not the best work-life balance or whatever. Didn't realize that button was there. Oh, nice. You love to see it. I did get some excitement out of setting up my microphone. I don't think that really qualifies as work. In fact, I don't really qualify basically anything I do on stream as work. Though it can be draining sometimes. It's just like, you know, I'm here ranting while I play video games. It's... To suggest it's any amount of work. It's kind of tone deaf, I think. The real work parts of it, it's like the YouTube and the TikTok and stuff. That's the only thing I would consider work. Which, again, is why I always say, like, the stream is the thing I really care about. Like, if I could just not do, like, you know, TikTok especially. Like, it's fun, a little. The most fun part about it is the fact that, you know, it gets recognized compared to, like, my YouTube and stuff. But the actual, like, editing of the content, I wouldn't really go so far as to say it's fun. Alright, we learned. What was that? Like, Area 4? Area 5? I don't think this will take that long with continues. Definitely not going to do it deathless, but I have absolutely no desire to. Seems like a miserable time. I did see, like, within the first week or so, I can't remember exactly the time frame, but it was, like, very close to The End is Nigh being released. Like, one of the more noteworthy fan game guys. In fact, I think it was... I don't want to get this wrong. If I do get it wrong, then my bad. I'm sure it doesn't take that long to Google what I'm talking about. But I think it was... Geezer? Like, within the first week of The End is Nigh being released, got the, Deathless challenge done for all of the carts, including this one. Oh, that was skillful. That was really, really well done there. But, you know, some people are just, like, good at games. It's crazy to think about. Growing up, I always thought maybe one day I'll be good at games. Maybe one day. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like for a lot of kids, you know, just playing games with friends, like, you very quickly pick apart, like, who's the best gamer of you and all your friends. And that was me. I was the best gamer, for the most part. I would say, like, you know, my friend Austin could probably beat me very easily at, like, any sort of strategy games. Anything that you really have to think at all, basically. Like, Austin was the friend of mine that I primarily played, like, I mentioned Prismata, that's the name of the game, in, like, one of my previous streams. And, yeah, like, it started out with me having more knowledge about the game than Austin. But very quickly, as he learned the game, like, very quickly, our matches became a lot more balanced, and then he started winning more, and I stopped suggesting to play it, because that's the kind of guy I am. No, but I think it was more just kind of both of us washing out of the game, because we played a lot of it, in, like, a short time span. Prismata's a good game, though. It's, I think it's Prismata. Like, I hope I'm not saying the wrong game here. Prismata. Is that it? Yeah, Prismata. There you go. It's a fun game. If you like... I don't know, it's a hard game to describe. I can't remember how I described it last time I talked about it, but it's kind of like a very simplified real-time strategy game. Wait, is it real-time? I think it's turn-based, actually. It's a... Well, I don't know, it feels... It is turn-based, for sure. But there are... I feel like the design of it... Like, when you say turn-based strategy, it kind of evokes, like, an entirely different feeling than real-time strategy, obviously. But, yeah, it plays more like an RTS, in my opinion. And there are, like, you can raise the speed to the point that you have, like, 10 seconds per turn, or less if you want to think about everything you want to do in it. And, you know, that's basically real time at that point. But, yeah, just, like, a really well-designed game. At least, I don't know what they've done to it. Maybe they've, like, ruined the balance since I last played, because I think it was still being updated when I last played, but... From what I played... It was really well done. And free, also. With, like, I don't know. The monetization seemed fine, in my eyes. I think the way it was monetized was, like, a lot of cosmetic stuff, and, like, I don't know. You can decide how scummy you think the cosmetic stuff is, because I think there were, like, loot boxes and stuff, but it's cosmetic. Like, I don't really, like, Path of Exile does that kind of stuff, too. I don't really mind it that much. Like, I've talked about it. Like, I do buy the loot boxes, but just with, like, leftover points from the supporter packs that I already buy. So I don't really have too big of an issue with, like, you know, cosmetic-only loot boxes. Obviously, there are issues with loot boxes as a whole, and, like, yeah, you know, it is kind of, like, especially in some games, like, very, very kind of abusive with the way it's handled, and, like, a very early introduction to gambling for a lot of kids. But that aside, I don't think that the way Prismata did it was particularly bad. And, yeah, that was, like, the only thing that you spent money on was cosmetics, and I almost hit no there because I thought I was still alive. I was gonna do an input for my guy. And also, there's, like, a campaign mode to the game. So if you want to buy the story, you can buy the story, but I mean, I think the majority of people who played it, I mean, no offense, because, like, it could be an incredible story, but I think the majority of people who played it because it was just, like, a really fun online experience. And I don't know. I don't think that many people really know about it, because it wasn't super popular when I played it, at the very least, but I would definitely recommend it. For sure. If it sounds up your alley. It's like, turn-based strategy combined with, I don't know. What would I say it's combined with? Not card game. Though I've seen some people say it's a card game. Like, it's not really a card game at all, despite, like, the units kind of being on cards. It's more just, like, I would honestly just say it's, like, a mix between RTS and turn-based strategy, and leave it at that. Because there is, like, a lot of resource management stuff, and like, you know, establishing economy, and, like, prioritizing when to attack and that kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of depth to the game for how easy it is to pick up and how simple all the mechanics are. But, what was I talking about? I honestly don't fucking know how I got on the topic of Prismata. I think I was talking about how I'm, like, a pro gamer, right? I was talking about how... oh my god, my regrabs are just awful. It's taking so much of my mental energy to let go and press this button that I'm fucking literally everything else up. But yeah, I don't know. Shout out to all the gamers that, oh, I never made it that far. That explains why I was doing so bad. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Just awful. Shoutouts to all the gamers that, they were, like, the best among their friend group, and then very quickly realized how bad they were once they had a fully developed frontal cortex. Because that's me. Like, I don't know. I still probably play more games. Like, not just amount. I mean, probably in amount as well, because, you know, I don't have the best time management at times. Like, I was shocked to see that, my Steam, time played for Loop Hero was, like, 78 hours. I had, like, a mild panic attack, and I was like, oh, yeah. Like, half of that is AFK'd. I don't need to feel that bad about it. Like, I still probably should feel bad, because I did play a lot of off-camera Loop Hero. But not 78 hours worth, good lord. Oh my god, I hate this enemy. Not as much as the fish, but still not a fan. Dude. Like, the fact that they still, like, track you after the lunge is... It's too much, man. It's too much. What do I want to do against that guy? Like, I don't really mind wasting a shit ton of lives trying to figure this stuff out, because I'm gonna have to. I guess I just want to be patient. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that if you're just, like, slightly patient, it's actually very easy? Okay, can't do that. This is not Not going so hot, alright. Last continue. Yeah, like, I can just make that, but it's kind of a tricky jump. Yeah, that worked pretty well outside of that part. But I feel like, no, like, especially in, like, variety of games I play significantly more than, the majority of my friends. I mean, not just the majority, like, I'm pretty sure all of my friends, like, I don't know, Austin is kind of, like, for the most part, in his free time, only plays, like, grand strategy games. Like, just the fucking map games, you know? Like, Europa Universalis and, CK, Crusader Kings, I believe. I'm not sure which one. What are they up to? CK3? CK4? I just don't know enough about the games to tell you, honestly. Just go fast on that one. But I think it helps, honestly, for making games to have, like, a wide variety of things that you have experience from. Because I think that's, like, where the most, like, breakthroughs in game design come from. Are people picking inspiration from multiple different genres. And there are tons of things that haven't been experimented with. That being said, like, I still have a game idea for, like, a fairly generic platformer that I want to make. Like, there's still plenty of room for just a platformer, right? Like, The End is Nigh is very much just a platformer, but it's got, like, fairly tight controls compared to most other platformers. That's about it, honestly. Like, that's really all it has going for it. I guess the ledge grab is, like, slightly unique. It's got the dive that I use to get myself killed on accident. But, there's really not that much unique about The End is Nigh. It's just like a, you know, a modern platformer. Celeste, on the other hand, does, like, a lot of cool things. Like, the level design in Celeste really stands out as something spectacular. I mean, not to say that the level design in The End is Nigh is awful, because for the most part, it's pretty good. But there have been moments where I'm like, I don't know about this one. In both of them, though, I kind of disagree with their thoughts on endurance challenges. Like, obviously, I've gone at end about, or to no end is probably a better sentence, and also something real people say. To no end, I've talked about, how I don't really like what I'm doing right now. I don't really like the, kind of recycled content, but in a format that means you have to do it all in a row or you fail. I don't think that's particularly fun in games. And that holds true to this, but I'm doing it anyways, because it's like one of the last things I've still never done in this game. And, yeah, Celeste has it as well. Like, I don't know, I think the... Like, what are all of the golden strawberries? I think that you can only get the floor is lava one from the first level, right? That's a cool one, though. Like, I like that golden berry. Because it actually changes the way you play, you know? It's like the Spelunky no gold runs, right? Like, that's a fun achievement that completely changes the way you play in order to get it. So I have no problem with that. The things I do have a problem with are just the golden berries for not dying in a particular level. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's the same way I feel about, like, difficulty balance. I mean, it is just difficulty balancing in a different way, right? I feel like if something is like truly unfun, and to me, I would say, I guess, like, it's just like a philosophy that people don't agree with, but to me, like, I don't know, depends on how you view checkpoints in games, I guess. Like, I fully believe that, like, I find an experience infinitely more enjoyable when I don't have to constantly repeat the same content over and over again. And that's all, like, endurance challenges like this do. And same thing for the No Death Celeste things. It's just like, you know, you've proven, obviously, that... You've proven that you can beat the levels because you have to beat the level in order to unlock the golden berry even appearing. So, like, obviously, you know how to complete and have completed all of the challenges. But now... do it literally absolutely perfectly all in a row, or you have to waste, like, I don't know, however long the level is in minutes every single attempt. Like, for this, I don't know, you could probably beat this fairly comfortably at, like, 15 minutes. Probably faster, obviously. Like, I'm not saying you need to take 15 minutes. I fucked this up royally, but I'm gonna go with it. But I think comfortably you could beat this in 15 minutes. Maybe I'm, like, super off base on that one. I haven't really been paying attention to how long each of these attempts is taking me, and I'm only getting, like, halfway through. But estimating, like, 15 to 20 minutes is not that bad for, like, a challenge. Like, you know, if it took me 15 to 20 minutes to do this, I'd feel ecstatic. But since I'm definitely going to be failing for at least a handful of more attempts, and if I was going for Deathless, good lord, I don't even want to imagine. Like, just the 30-something screens of acceptance took me... I honestly don't want to think about it, but probably upwards of, like, 30-something hours. Like, even though every single individual challenge in this is significantly easier than basically anything in the acceptance screens, just the fact that it's, like, 110 screens, I think, means that each run is going to take longer, and for every bit of extra time that it takes, there's a much higher chance that you're going to make a tiny mistake that makes you reset from scratch and waste another 10 to 20 minutes of your life. Which I don't really see it that nihilistically. Like, I'm not going, like, what's the point? Why am I doing this while I'm doing it? Because I know it's just, like, I don't know, if I wanted to, I could be playing a different game right now. But I just, you know, it's kind of fun to platform, I guess. And, like I said, I had, like, literally nothing else planned for the stream, so if I'm not doing this, then I have no idea what I'm doing to fill the dead air. This feels like a reasonable thing to do in the moment, especially because, like, now that I know there's continues, I genuinely don't think that this is that difficult. But it's still, like, yeah, just, like, from its design, kind of bothers me that there is, like, any sort of reward for doing this deathless. And, I mean, it still kind of bothers me that there's any sort of reward for doing this at all. Like, you know? I don't really get, endurance challenges. I think they just kind of blow ass. But, you know, whatever. Anyways, what was I talking about? Something about, like... Oh, I'm supposed to go right here. That's what I'm doing wrong. I only did this screen once, and forgot how I did it. Okay, probably not like that. Entered autopilot a little bit too early. But, oh yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I love that cycle. That seems like something that could happen, like, very easily. Or... does it? No, okay, I was just faster that time. But yeah, that really, if you, like, hesitate for just a tiny bit, that's going to happen to you. Oh my god, you just have to go, like, instantly. If you want to get this ledge grab... What the fuck? I was doing that so consistently with, like, no problems earlier. Why was that so hard for me? Bunch of unnecessary deaths there. Yeah, I think that if you have any interest in making games, it would probably do you good if you diversified the kinds of games you play. But maybe I'm just, like, making myself feel better about playing the amount of games that I play. But I do think it's important. to get all sorts of different design ideas from all sorts of different places. And the best way to do that is play a lot of different games from a lot of different people in a lot of different genres. Like, Loop Hero is a pretty good testament to that, like, it's basically just like a kind of amalgamation of a handful of different genres. Like, while Loop Hero as a whole is like a very unique experience that hasn't been done before, every single facet of Loop Hero is something that's been done before. Like, there are no original ideas. To think to yourself that you have a truly original idea is, like, maybe the most naive thing you can do. It's up there, at least. It's up there for sure. But I don't know. I'm not saying that new things are never done in games. I mean, like, you don't even have to play games to get the inspiration. Look at fucking Battle Royales, right? Got that shit from a movie. So yeah, just, I don't know, diversify, I guess. Diversify as much as you can. Like, I'm still thinking about the things that I like from Loop Hero and the way that it was done. Like, a lot of the... Because, like, I don't know, when you look at Loop Hero kind of zoomed out a bit, like, it is a kind of weirdly bloaty game. Like, there's a lot of things in Loop Hero that probably could have been cut from the final version and made it a more, like, solid, cohesive idea. Like, I still feel weird about the camp items. The camp items feel kind of out of place, and, like, the crafting of camp items. Just, yeah, camp items are weird. I don't know about that one. Like, I guess the idea behind it was just some sort of, like, additional passive scaling that you can, like, build towards more or less infinitely, as you saw the fact that I had, like, hundreds of available equipment slots for it that I'm basically never going to fill. I think that a lot more could have been done with it, though. Like, the camp things that exist don't really change up your gameplay at all. They're mostly just, like, minor stat increases that only really make a big impact when you have, like, hundreds of the same item. Hundreds is a bit of an exaggeration, but... Okay, just be a little bit patient and a little bit less dumb, and it's not actually that hard. But, yeah, like, there's so many different camp items that are just different ways of, like, increasing your max HP, which is cool and all. There's, like, a lot of ones that just, like, give you different methods of healing, but none of these really change your playstyle at all, with the exception being the scythe that converts damage into damage to all, and the mirror that gives you the lightning and magic damage immunity. And that's why I was so attracted to the mirror, is because, you know, it is, like, one of the only cool items that you can get at camp that actually changes the way you play. For all of the rest of the camp items, I'm just like, wow, what do you do? Why do you exist? Why were you put into the game? There's, like, a few other things that kind of feel like that about Loop Hero. Like, I don't know, the golden cards, like, that just... It just strikes me as an odd decision. Like, I guess it's just, like, kind of an impactful thing that changes the run, but there's only one that really has significant impact. Kind of two. But the second one is in, like, a very boring way. I mean, you know, truth be told, the first one is in a kind of really boring way, too. Like, it's not particularly interesting just to get a new equipment slot. Because, like, items aren't particularly different from each other in Loop Hero. Like, all items are basically the exact same. They, outside of, like, their base stat, they have the same potential of increasing your abilities during a run. It's not like, you know, certain modifiers are gated off to certain item types or anything. I'm not saying it's bad to do it that way, it's just like, I don't know, it feels kind of weird. It just feels weird to, like, lock off an equipment slot to, a card that you sometimes have and sometimes don't. And a lot of things, I mean, you can look at it one way or another, your opinion on, like, unlocking things, but, like, a lot of core gameplay mechanics in Loop Hero are unlocked, which I don't think is bad, because there really are just, like, so many systems in the game, and as I'm, you know, kind of hinting towards, maybe a bit too many systems in the game. But, yeah, unlocks definitely make sense in a game like that, where you could kind of accidentally overwhelm your character, or your player, if you introduce too many things all at once. So I think that the unlocks served well to that degree, but it is strange how many different, like, entire core game systems were just not available at the start of the game. It does have a nice, like, kind of unfolding feel to it, where you just, like, slowly peel apart the layers and open up what Loop Hero actually is. So all of those, like, big, like, moves forward in terms of, like, what you can do in the game are, like, cool key moments in the play experience for sure. But then, like, after you really think about what the mechanics you're unlocking are, you start to build up a little bit of cynicism, like I am. I gotta know. Okay. Awesome timing, dude. Great patience. I just don't see the point to a lot of the things. Like yes, obviously, the supply and camp items and golden cards that I've already talked about. I mean, alchemy, too. Alchemy is a super weird one, because, like, it kind of eliminates, like, a need to play the game, or, like, interact with the mechanic. Because, like, early on, you kind of have to play a certain way to get certain materials, right? And I think that was, like, a big part of the progression to the game, is, like, you know, say alchemy didn't exist, right? If the alchemy mechanic didn't exist, and I'm kind of glad it does, because it does take away a lot of the grind. If the alchemy mechanic didn't exist, though, it would actually take, like, a lot of effort to farm the like, orbs of change, or whatever they're called. The ones that you have to, like, change tiles on your board for. Or, like, wood, for example. Because, like, I never used groves. Like, I would have to specifically play around certain cards that I never played around, just because, like, you need to play those cards to get certain materials. I think that's, like, a lot more interesting than how alchemy kind of made the game turn out, unfortunately. Like, there's good parts of alchemy and there's bad parts of alchemy, and I don't know exactly where I stand on it, but I do think it leans more towards the positive side of things, because at least with the current balance of the game, I think that, some of the materials are honestly just a little bit too tedious to collect for how many of them you need. Okay, turns out I didn't go immediately on that one, and that's why I was dying so often. I just needed to be a patient guy. That thing that I never am. But, like, yeah, if you want to get, like, a bunch of your camp items, for example, you basically have to grind out those orbs of change that you get from, like, you know, turning mountains into mountain peaks, and turning forests into burn forests, and turning villages into Count's lands, that kind of thing. Which, you know, when looking at the game in an endless perspective, is just abysmally tedious. Because at least for the majority of the resources, you can just kind of, like, idle it, and you collect them. But, that one actually takes, like, constant effort to get the resources. And maybe that's better, right? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that the resource takes effort to get. But it has to be balanced accordingly. And I don't think that it was, really. What do I do with this screen? Like, I hate this screen. I guess I just go for it. and make sure to ledge grab there. Please stop being bad, though. When you've already completed the challenge. Oh, this, yeah, that was doomed to fail. Just forgot how to do the screen. Nice. Dying to a gate jump. You love to see it. Why, dude? Why am I just throwing? I just, like, completely forgot what their range was, I guess. Oh, did I never make it past? No, I just don't remember this screen at all. Crazy. But I definitely made it past here. Yeah, because I got to this screen. And I got to the screen after this screen, I think. And that's where I failed. Oops. Yeah, I don't think I succeeded in this one. Oops. Come back. Do I need you up here? No, you can just stay down there. That's fine. Focusing ever so slightly because I'm in new territory. Nice. Nice, dude. I mean, you can never guess what their range is because those enemies... I think, maybe I'm crazy, but I think those enemies have, like, chains of varying lengths. If I'm just stupid and dumb, you can tell me, but... At least in that one room, it feels like their chains are longer than in the rooms before it. I'll point it out next time I get there. Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like... like, if you really just love, like, platformers, like, you can probably get away with not playing games from other genre. I just mean, like, I don't know, in terms of, like, creating what, like, people perceive as something new, I feel like you kind of need to get experience from other genres. And, in other mediums, even. Is that a common thing to see? I don't know what the modern community for The End is Nigh is like, but yeah, I am just a guy playing The End is Nigh. Crazy, right? It's like the fucking 20th stream I've done of this game because of the acceptance challenge. Don't expect many more, though, because if I complete this in this stream, I think that's the end of End is Nigh. Like, there's not that much more I can do in the game. Like, the only thing left are collecting the coins in these levels, which I will never do. That's just boring. And doing it deathless. Only, like, 3 people in it. Huh. TOA? Yeah, Tower of Acceptance. Yes. See? I might not be the brightest, but given context, I can assume what acronyms are. Putting that Texan brain to good use. But yeah, if you care more about that, because that's definitely more of a journey than just watching a dude do the fucking mega cart with continues. All of that stuff's on my YouTube. It's in a End is Nigh playlist. I feel weird about advertising my YouTube, but I only do it when it seems relevant to. Did I do the secret world? What is the secret world? I didn't even know, like... I didn't think there were that many, like, secrets in the End is Nigh. Obviously, you have, like, the carts and the tumors, but the game pretty much outlines exactly where all of those are on the map screen. So if there was, like, a real... Oh, yeah. No, I did that, for sure. It's like, base level. I think I did that in the first stream of this, I did. But I don't want to lead you astray. That was not my first time playing the game. The first time I streamed this was my second time going through the game. And I think, I can't remember, but I think I just, for Nevermore, because, like, I did like the entire game in one stream, despite having basically no recollection of the game. And, you know, obviously not having a past in speedrunning if it's my second time beating it. So it took, like, 7 hours. And I didn't have enough tumors for me to really reasonably do Nevermore, so I think I just loaded in my save file for, like, my main save, and that's what I did. But yeah, I didn't expect that first stream to take that long, honestly. Like, I was pretty surprised by the end of it, too. I was like, End is Nigh isn't that long. It's, I don't know, maybe like a 3-hour game. I could probably bang it out real quick. Like 7.5 hours or something. My memory failed me. Same thing for the carts. Like, I expected, like, I was gonna do all of the carts except the Mega Cart and Acceptance in one stream. Not the case. Ooh, ouch. Yeah, that does seem pretty rough. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I never thought about doing the game without any tumors, because that would make the like last 4 or 5 areas of the game pretty rough. But at least you don't have to worry about Nevermore. I assume the game doesn't let you into Nevermore, because isn't there like a certain threshold of tumors that you need just to unlock Nevermore? Yeah. But that does seem pretty bad. 450. It's more than I thought, honestly. So I'm not really surprised that I just switched over to my main save file to do Nevermore. Because I was not gonna grind out tumors after 7 hours in. Good lord. But Nevermore is not really that bad. I still think, and it sucks too, I think that in terms of just like the raw level design of the screens, I think that like 2 of the hardest screens in the game are at the end of the Tower of Acceptance. And it's not even in a good way. I just think that the screens are kind of badly designed because I've been told by my girlfriend that Tyler Glale refers to the frames that allow you to jump after walking off of a tile as coyote frames. Coyote frame, however you pronounce that word. I'm not sure if coyote is a Texan thing, but feel free to make fun of me for it if it is. I'm used to it. But yeah, the like a few of the jumps in one of the screens of the End of Acceptance require you to use coyote frames, which I don't really agree with in terms of level design. Like, that's why I think having so many coyote frames is kind of dangerous when designing a platformer, is the temptation can be there to make a really, really tight jump, right? Like, you want the screen to be hard, so you're making the window that you're allowed to jump as tight as possible. But because you allow the player to walk off of a ledge for so many frames and still be able to jump, when designing screens, you know, whether you want to or not, just because you have allowed yourself to get to this point, end up pushing the difficulty to the point that you are required to just use coyote frames to do the jump. Which I think is bad. I think you should avoid that at all costs. I think that it's a very slippery slope, the, you know, input buffering and coyote frames together. I mean, input buffering is not so bad. I mean, you could design bad mechanics around it for sure, but yeah, coyote frames especially. You can also just open the command console and type cancer to get into Nevermore. Nice. What do you mean by water jumps? Like, just jumps from water? I mean, obviously the physics are, like, entirely different for that, but I don't know the context for it. Because I clearly have not played a bunch of modded End is Nigh content. Have you seen how I'm handling this regular-ass baby content? Can't fucking do it. If I can't do the regular game, how am I supposed to be expected to do mods? where you press the down key and press jump at the same time, and you jump like twice as high? Really? I assume in water, otherwise why the fuck is it called a water jump? But that's interesting. I kind of want to try that out next time I get a chance. At the top of water. Here you go, here's some water. Let's experiment with this. Haha. I'm full of jokes. Full of jokes, this guy. At the top of water. I mean, if you just press the button at the same time, I think that's in the realm of acceptability. For me, at least. Like, I think that things like that are kind of fun. Like, I'm the guy who always defends grapple canceling in Terraria. It's like, yeah, it adds, like, a technical aspect to the movement that the developers definitely never intended. But at the same time, in my opinion, it's like the only thing that makes Terraria's movement fun is the fact that you can grapple, cancel it, and then have your flight back. Oops. It's a lot easier on keyboard. Okay, so I'm assuming that by pressing down, you just mean, like, you need the crouch button. Like, the fast fall button to be in act. So if that's the case, couldn't you just go into the keybinds, or, like, controller binds, and bind it so that, like, duck is a face button? So, like, you could have jump as, like, A on an Xbox controller and fast fall as X, or even, like, a bumper would be easier. And then you could just, like, press the A button and the bumper at the same time. That's what I would do, at least. Because, yeah, it's obviously better if you're not using an analog stick for that kind of thing. You don't know how you would be able to do that? It doesn't seem that bad. It seems way easier than using an analog stick for it, I'll tell you that much. So if you do use analog, I would probably recommend switching over to that method. Because whenever possible, that's why I'll never be good at Lethal League. Is because to be good at Lethal League, you basically have to play on keyboard. Because, you know, whether I want to believe it or not, because controllers are very comfortable in some games, it is just like, you know, digital input is basically entirely superior to analog. When applicable, I guess. You probably wouldn't want to play, I don't know, a racing game with digital input. I imagine that would be pretty rough. But, you know, definitely in like a... Oh, you can sit there. You can sit there safely. In a 2D environment, digital is kind of king. Lethal League, it's a baseball fighting game. No other context needed. Baseball fighting game. But all of the, like, really, really good players in it play on keyboard. That's not entirely true. Like, I think some of the very, very top-end players are on controller, but I would say by far the majority of top-end players are on keyboard. It's like getting into Osu. You're like, oh, this is a fun game that I can play on PC, and then you realize that, like, 99% of the actual good players are using a drawing tablet to play the game. Like, you can definitely make it work, but there's just a clear and obvious answer for what the better control scheme is. You play Isaac on controller? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no. It hurts me. No, I have to be a dickhead about this one. You don't understand. Whenever I get the opportunity to be a dickhead about something, I'm going to. You can't take this away from me. What's wrong with controller, Isaac? I mean, to be fair, I guess it's really just because I played, you know, I played so much of the original Isaac. That, like, thinking of the game outside of keyboard is just kind of nasty. But I know that, like, there's tons of people that, that play Isaac on controller. It's definitely not a weird choice. I kind of hate this drop. This is, like, way worse than I remembered it being. But, yeah, it's really just, like, a, you know, a comfort thing. If you're more comfortable with controller, it's fine. But I do get to make fun of you. You're still playing Isaac, though? See, now that's the thing I can really dig into. I assume with all the DLC, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's... Well, I don't know. That's fair, I guess, because I think that my rebirth time... It's not 400, but my rebirth time is, like, 200-something, and my original Isaac is, like, 300-something. So that's, like, a fair amount to play, especially if you've never played the original. But, yeah, I don't know. My thoughts on the way Isaac is currently balanced are not the best. Like, I've said before that I do plan on playing Repentance when it comes out, but, you know, I'm trying to keep, like, you know, my expectations as tempered as possible, because basically everything that's happened to Isaac since, like, Wrath of the Lamb, I've had some issues with. Like, original Rebirth wasn't that bad, Afterbirth wasn't that bad, Afterbirth Plus was just, like, an absolute disaster. Like, pretty much every single bit of content added to Afterbirth Plus, I'm like, that was a mistake. Take that one back. And, like, a lot of the booster pack stuff that came out after Afterbirth Plus's release, like, just, like, the free content editions that they took from mods. I mean, some of them are cool, but how come? What happened? Just a lot of bloat, to put it, like, as easily to understand as possible. There are, like, some, like, clear design changes that happened outside of just, like, way too many items filling up the item pool. But, yeah, I would say, like, if you played, like, just a run of Wrath of the Lamb, like, because you can still get, like, the original Isaac and play Wrath of the Lamb. If you play a run of Wrath of the Lamb, balance-wise, it still feels like a better game than Rebirth currently does with all of the DLCs added. Like, so many items in Isaac literally do nothing to affect the outcome of your run. It's just, like, maddening. Especially if you play a lot of Eden, which is primarily what my playtime went towards after I unlocked Eden. Sometimes you just never get stat ups. You just never ever get stats. Like 20 HP up items. That's not even the worst of it, because at least you're getting something out of it. What about, like, the 20 plus items that are literally, like, duplicates of other items in the game? Like... What about, and this is not an item bloat thing, but a design change thing, what about the fact that you used to be able to rely on Deals with the Devil to get damage up? Because, like, you know, that's the risk-reward. You're getting something to drastically increase the success rate of your run. You had to work hard to get there by not getting hit, or at least with red hearts, up to that point in the floor. And, nope, not anymore. Now, when you go into the Deal with the Devil, most of the time, you're just gonna get fucking red chests. Not most of the time, but the fact that that's even an option is, like, just insulting. That you can, like, work hard to try and increase the chances of success in your run when you don't really have that much going for you. Because it matters especially early on, when you have, like, no stats worth mentioning. And you just get, like, a couple of red chests with spiders in it. Like, the game really kind of hates you in its current design. Example? Like, there's at least 4 fucking items. revolving around, you can hold 2 different tarot cards, you can hold 2 different pills, you can hold 2 different tarot cards or pills, you can hold an extra trinket item. That was designed to hell and back. I mean, I probably don't need to talk about all of the flying items being basically the exact same. It's more or less they are, like, outside of something like Shadow of the Night or whatever it's called. No, that's the transformation. I'm thinking of, Empty Vessel is the one that gives you flying when you have no hearts, right? Yeah, there's, like, Belly Button and, like, Polydactyl or whatever it's called. There's literally an item that, like, does nothing for you but give consumables. Like, that was another big thing that you would hope to get stat items for. Or not even hope, but it was just, like, guaranteed that you would get stat increases, was boss items. And the boss item pool has just been destroyed. Like, it's seriously a worthwhile item that you can get fucking, I don't know, like 10 coins? That's a boss item? You can get 10 coins out of, like, Pageant Boy or whatever it's called? Yeah, Mom's Box is another one. It gives you, like, 1 of each type of consumable. It's like a heart, a key, a bomb, and, like, a trinket or something. There's so many garbage items in Isaac that completely mess up the original balance that the game had. And I think it's, like, most people agree that the original balance... Like, I don't think anyone's out here saying that, like, original Isaac with Wrath of the Lamb is a better game, because it's not. I think there are some things to be said about, the balance are definitely better, but... Yes, I would like to continue. But, no, the game is significantly worse just because it drops to, like, 1 FPS when you use a single bomb. Or, like, God forbid there's a Mullaboom in a room. If there's any fucking explosion, your frame rate just doesn't exist. So, like, a significantly worse game, just, like, performance alone makes it a very unenjoyable experience. I would never be able to go back to the original Isaac, but... still. I do think... And, I mean, there are problems with Wrath of the Lamb, too, don't get me wrong. Like, there's something to be said that I think Wrath of the Lamb had too many flying items. I feel like in Wrath of the Lamb, like, towards the end of, like, original Isaac, I feel most players on basically every run, once you got good at the game, could get flying. I don't think that that's, a good balance for the game to literally, like, always have access to flying. But I don't know, the game went, like, back and forth on that. The game had, like, way too much flying, and then I think Rebirth padded it out a bit so that you weren't going to get flying as often. And then I think Afterbirth and Afterbirth Plus have brought it back to you have flying on basically every run due to the amount of transformations that give you flying. But I don't know. I think it's less the amount of transformations that give you flying and more the ease of access of those transformations. It's like, I mean, yeah, you're not going to get Guppy on literally every single run, but I don't know. I feel like it definitely pads out the runs that you didn't already just get an item that give you flying. Because, like, kind of forcing Guppy is fairly reliable once you know the ins and outs of the game. I mean, especially when the game is just throwing you red chests constantly. That's just what you get. You're probably gonna get some Guppy items. It happens. I don't even know if I've ever known what the oh crap transformation is. I mean, there's a lot of things in Isaac that are, like, just throwaway ideas that were added to the game because, like, haha, that's funny, but kind of detract from the game as a whole. Like, why do there need to be about, like, I don't know, 30% of the pills that just absolutely do nothing? Like, they're not good or bad, they're just annoying. Like, pills used to be exclusively stat ups or stat downs. That was it. I mean, I guess with the exception of, like, the full health pill, but that's kind of That's kind of a stat in and of its own. But it was just like the tears up, speed up, HP up, bad trip, health. I think that was like it. You know, in Repentance, the pills are getting better. Well, that's good. That's nice to hear. Because, like, there really are just way too many that do absolutely nothing. There's, like, so many cards, too. Like, so many cards that, I mean, don't really do nothing, but, like, I don't know. Does the game need this many? And, like, there are a lot of runes that basically do nothing. Like, I mean, runes are definitely better than the cards, don't get me wrong, but isn't there just a rune that, like, gives you a few flies or spiders or something? It has been a while since I played Isaac, but that strikes me as something that wasn't that great. Or maybe it's not a rune, maybe it's just some other consumable. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Anti-Birth. I haven't played it, but I mean, that's what Repentance is built around, yeah. I know there's like 2 good runes. There's the invincibility rune and there's the reroll rune. Every other rune, oh, there's the destruction rune that just like breaks all of the rocks and or poop in a room. Maybe fires too, I don't know. But I mean, that's like an issue I've had with the design of Isaac since the start, honestly, is like, I don't know. Edmund and I clearly just disagree on what is fun in a game. Edmund thinks it's fun to make the optimal play for the player to sit like 10 minutes in a room full of poop to shoot it all. Otherwise, why would the, I don't know, what's it called? Like, just diarrhea pill? Why would the diarrhea pill exist? The one that just floods your entire room with poop. There is a rune that makes flies? Cool, dude. Do I prefer Enter the Gungeon? That's a hard one, because I don't really like Gungeon either. But I probably would say I prefer Gungeon over Isaac. I'm gonna reset this one. I honestly, I don't know. I think I played too much of Gungeon before it got good. Like, Gungeon was never bad, but it was just kind of like middling to average when it originally released. And I think that a lot of the updates they had afterwards made Gungeon what I would call like a pretty good roguelike. But I just played so much of it before those content additions that I was just kind of like burnt out of it. I never played too much of the like update that added all of the hard-coded synergies. But that is like really cool that they have a lot of hard-coded synergies. I respect the effort into making things cool. Because that's what Gungeon is all about. Like, I would say Gungeon takes a lot of its design inspiration from just making things cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, a game that I've played and enjoyed recently is Boomerang X, which is like, you know, a very simple conceptual game that you like probably think of the idea in like, I don't know, 5 seconds of trying to think of a cool game. But execution-wise, it's done really well, and it's fun. It's a fun game. There's nothing wrong with designing things just to make them cool. Now, I mean, there's also something to be said about the fact that it's probably not going to leave, like, a huge mark on the industry. No offense, dang team. But, I do have to wait a little bit before I can make this jump. There you go, it's not that tight. I can jump, like, instantly for the second jump. But yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of for making a cool game. I mean, Gungeon is good also. Boomerang X is good also. But they're just not the kind of games that I would play endlessly. And I'm not saying that a game has to be a game that you're going to play endlessly, right? Like, not every game has to be Slay the Spire. It's like a prestigious title that very few will ever take place of, if ever. You know, I don't doubt that in the future of my entire existence, unless I, like, get hit by a truck tomorrow, I probably will find a game that oh my god, I blow ass, dude. I probably will find a game that I enjoy more than Slay the Spire, but it's gonna be a while. Oh, I definitely recommend it. It's literally like all of the fun parts about a roguelike condensed. It is like strictly the important decision making. And if you've never played a CCG, like, that's completely fine. You don't need card game experience to have fun with Slay the Spire. I had very, very minimal CCG experience. It definitely means you're going to have, like, a harder time breaking into the game. But it's gonna be fun, no matter what. Yeah, Boomerang X is Devolver published. It's always like a seal of some level of quality, right? Devolver is pretty good about who they select to publish. But yeah, Slay the Spire is great. It's just like, there's nothing design-wise I disagree with in Slay the Spire. Well, okay, maybe one. But it's just like a questionable thing that I personally don't take issue with, but I can understand people who do. The only thing that could possibly be seen as problematic in Slay the Spire is the fact that there's unlocks at all. Because, you know, I like, some people take issue with it, I don't. But if you are the kind of person who doesn't like, you know, unlocks at all and see any form of unlock as grindy, then you might take issue with it, but you can also, like, very easily go into the save file of Slay the Spire and just unlock everything for yourself if it's really that big of a deal. But because of the unlocks, that does mean that, like, the primary fun that I have in Slay the Spire, at least, is Ascension. I do kind of wish that, at least for Ascension, if you unlocked an Ascension level, that it unlocked it for all characters. Because, like, Ascension levels, since you've never played the game, is basically like the way you increase the difficulty to still have a challenge after you start getting better and better at the game. Because by the game's, like, base balance, without any Ascension level, the game is, like, very, very easily 100% winnable. Like, once you understand the game and have enough game knowledge, you will literally never lose a run on Ascension 0. But as you get even more game knowledge, you start to realize that Ascension 1 is actually easier than Ascension 0. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's like a testament to why I enjoy Slay the Spire so much, is because, like, they are very much on the side of clearly designing the game around being consistently winnable. I take a little bit of issue with that when it comes to the final Ascension level. I think Ascension 20, while some people do have streaks at Ascension 20, heart kills at Ascension 20, that just blows me away, honestly. I think for the average consumer of Slay the Spire, Ascension 20 would not be deemed as consistently winnable. But that's fine. The game lets you balance the difficulty to whatever you find fun, and I just find Ascension 15 is, like, the sweet spot for me. I probably, like, 16 doesn't really make the game that much harder, but 15 is just, like, a nice, you know, interval of 5. So that's what I roll with. Even though I could probably push it more and still keep my consistent win streak. Just, like, everything Slay the Spire does is, in my opinion, what every roguelike tried to do before Slay the Spire, but just, like, infinitely better in basically every way. Like, it takes stuff from FTL, for example. Like, FTL is a great game, don't get me wrong, but one of the biggest things I hate about FTL is the fact that the events that happen are literally just, you know, game knowledge. Like, if you don't have the game knowledge on what exactly the outcomes to a given event are, you're going to, like, constantly be fucked over by, to the player, basically random chance. Because, like, some of the random events that happen in FTL, the right answer is literally just, like, the exact opposite of what you would think is the logical solution. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, because it's actually been, like, I don't know, 8+ years since I played FTL. But, yeah, it's, like, not super fun to just have, like, a random event thrown on you, and then, oh no, you picked the wrong option, now you lost a crewmate. Sorry. That's just the way it is. And not only that, but the majority of FTL random events are solvable. Like, there is just a strictly right answer in basically every case. Whereas Slay the Spire also has random events that show up, but in nearly every case, the outcome is perfectly illuminated to the player, so they know exactly what they're going to get out of the random event if they select a given option. There are few exceptions, and I mean, I don't know. The exceptions, it depends on who you are and what kind of person you are, whether or not you think they're okay or not. But in most situations, like, I only think there's two. There's like 2 random events that don't explicitly tell you everything that they unlock. And, even the ones that don't explicitly tell you what they unlock, they give, like, enough outline of what you're going to get that it's not that big of a deal. Wow, why can't I do this room of all rooms? But because of that, because they went the route of giving the player all the information they need in the moment, that kind of, like, forced them to design more interesting random events. And I think whenever possible as a designer, you should make decisions that force you to make your game better. And that's like a pretty obvious example of Slay the Spire doing that, whether intentional or not. Like, I'm sure from their perspective, they were like, it's just better if the player knows what the outcomes are. Like, if you think about FTL, I think a majority of people who played FTL are probably like, yeah, the random events aren't the best. Like, think about everything that FTL offers, really think about how the random events work, and I think a lot of people would come to the conclusion that it's not particularly fun to just randomly have negative consequences because you don't know enough about the game. Like, why would you be more punishing to your first-time player? Like, I guess there's some people that like that, for one thing. And, there's certain cases where it's completely acceptable. But I think especially in a game like FTL, where, like, the runs in FTL could be pretty long, like, about the same length as Slay the Spire. Like, they could get to, like, an hour in length. And to, you never want a player to, at the end of an hour-long experience, feel like the reason they lost was because of a random event that they didn't know showing up at, like, 40 minutes into the run and, like, wiping out half of their crew. Like, that's not fun at all. So yeah, I think they did good with it, basically. So that's my design philosophy. I think, like, to a large degree, it really is just the fact that a lot of my design philosophies coincide with the developers of Slay the Spire. And, like, even where it doesn't, it's not to the degree that it's upsetting. Like, the unlocks, in my opinion, are fine. Card unlocks and relic unlocks especially, like, that's fine. Ascension, I have minor gripes with, but it's not that big of a deal. Compared to something like The Binding of Isaac, which is like, yeah, you know, there are some interesting unlocks, I guess. But even, like, the interesting ones become boring once you realize, like, oh, cool, I get something for killing this boss I've never killed before. Oh, wait, you're telling me I have to do that for literally every character, of which there are, like, I don't know, like 15 at this point? How many characters are there? That becomes pretty unfun. And like, oh, cool, this is like a not very fun game mode at all, greed mode. I don't think I want to play this ever again. Oh, what, you're telling me that I have to play it at least, like, I don't know, 15 times? Probably more than 15 times if I want to get all the unlocks in the game? Because, like, literally, for no good reason at all, they tied in unlock behind filling a donation machine to 999? I mean, I can get behind a long grind in certain cases. Like, you know, I'm a guy, you're listening to RuneScape music right now. But, I don't know, when it comes to a roguelike, it's like, especially that kind of upgrade, where it's not really like an upgrade, it's just like increased variety, right? Like, nothing you're unlocking, well, there are a few things, like Holy Mantle for Lost, for example. Most of the things you're getting in Isaac are just variety. And, you know, unfortunately, a lot of that does contribute to the bloat, so, you know, maybe you don't want to get some of the unlocks, which is actually, like, another game, probably more similar to Gungeon than Isaac. Monolith has a very interesting system where they realize that that is kind of a weird design space where you can unlock things, but you might not necessarily like the things you unlock. So in Monolith, which is another great game, if I haven't stated that enough, in Monolith, when you unlock new weapons or like new modifiers that you can get on weapons in the shop, you can just straight up turn those off so that you don't encounter them in a run anymore. Because, like, that is, like, for the period of time where people actually cared about Isaac, and, you know, whenever there was a new expansion, like Cobalt Streak and Dick Hammer, primarily are the ones I'm thinking of here, would reset their save files to play it from a brand new experience at the start. And the strategy that they primarily employed was being very selective about what things they unlock, particularly the runes, because if you can guarantee that literally every single rune you have is the one that rerolls things, or the one that doubles things, you're going to have a much, much easier time with the game, like, flat out. Because just the lack of variety guarantees that you're only going to get good shit, basically. Now, there is, like, some level of cheese. Why can I not understand these patterns here? There is definitely some level of cheese to it. Because, like, yeah, if you really want to be optimal when you're playing Monolith, you would just, like, never turn on any of the modifier packs, and never turn on any weapon that's not, like, Railgun, basically. And that's how I grinded out some of the harder achievements in Monolith, was, just playing with exclusively Railgun turned on, so it was basically guaranteed that I was going to get that weapon constantly. Can I just jump? I can probably just jump without ledge grabbing there. But I could also probably just ledge grab, like, way faster than I am and be completely fine. There you go. Oh no, they can't hear me. Their AirPods are dead. Joke that they'll never hear. A sad story. But yeah, I don't know. I got a lot of opinions on a lot of different games. And that's why I'm guaranteed to make awful games that literally no one but me likes in the future. But yeah, you know, even though you can't hear me, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the follow also. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the more games you play, the more opinionated you get on games. Maybe that's not the case for everyone. Because, like, my girlfriend plays a lot of games, too. Probably because of me, since I recommend a lot of stuff to her that she otherwise wouldn't have played. Like, my girlfriend never would have played... She told me that she never would have played something like The Binding of Isaac had I not suggested to her but she likes Isaac more than I do, honestly. I think I am just, like, an opinionated asshole, honestly. Which, I don't know. It hasn't really gotten me in trouble, but, maybe one day it might. There are certain downsides to being an opinionated asshole, but I feel like... I don't know. I feel like, you know, I'm like the only human on planet Earth that's got the right ones, so like... I don't know what these other guys are doing. They should just get on my level, start having better opinions. Oh, man. But I don't know. There definitely was a shift for me when I started caring more about design in games, and, like, things really started to make me upset when they were, like, very obviously poorly designed. Like, I played Dungeons of Dreadmore and had no problems with it. Can you believe it? Like, you know, I've stated multiple times that I'm a fan of Northern Lion. When he originally made his first video on Dungeons of Dreadmore, I was like, this is like an entirely new genre to me, because I had never played a traditional roguelike. So everything was like cool, new, and exciting, and I was like, wow, this is like, is this the first game to ever do this? What the hell? And I didn't realize until like a few years later that it's actually definitely not one of the first games to do that. It's like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 years too late to be the first one. When did Rogue come out? I mean, I'm not a game historian or anything, but I know Rogue is old. But anyways, point being, Dungeons of Dreadmore is not only not the first, but also one of the worst. Like, Dreadmore fucking sucks, dude. But I had no problems with it, and I don't know, maybe it's because I just lacked the exposure to, like, enough variety of different games that are doing the same thing. I think that is, like, the main thing it comes down to. It's just not enough experience. And just as I've played more games, I guess I've accidentally become more critical of them. For better or for worse. I think there are definitely, you know, plus sides, like I said, for a game designer to be pretty critical about games. It's like, if you don't stand for your own game design, then I don't, like, you should have very strong opinions as a game designer. Otherwise, I feel like you're I don't know. Maybe you can make a good game if you don't have strong opinions one way or another, but I feel like it's those hard convictions to certain things that lead you to make a better product, or at least a different product. Something that, it's like, when you don't really have too strong opinions of, like, say you're making a platformer, right? Say you don't really have too strong opinions of the way coyote frames work. Which I think is probably the case for the majority of people who play platformers, right? But, if you're making a platformer, I mean, if you have no strong opinions whatsoever, you might not even know what coyote frames are. And might just completely neglect to include any, which, to some, is the right thing to do, but I think for the most part, people agree that, like, some level of forgiveness is a good thing, whether it be input buffering or coyote frames or both. And I definitely agree that there is, like, you should do some, but I still, like, I don't know. It's a very personal thing for how much you want to do of that, and I haven't fully discovered within myself what I think is the best. But I know there are definitely certain things that I completely disagree with, like the requiring of coyote frames to do a particular jump. Dude, I'm just throwing lives away left and right here. The revenge of autopilot is coming back. But how long have I been doing it? Like, wow, that was bad. I did Loop Hero for, like, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes or so. So this hasn't been that long so far. And I've been making steady progress-ish. Like, outside of this attempt, which is kind of done, like, abysmally bad, honestly. Like, I had a lot of attempts in a row where I was getting the farthest I've ever gotten before. So I don't expect this to take too much longer. Which is cool. But yeah, I don't know. If you do know what coyote frames are, and you have, like, no design issues with it at all, you're probably likely to include way too many coyote frames and probably do the thing I hate, which is require coyote frames to do certain jumps. And maybe you have no problem with that, and hey, fuck it, you know? I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, because maybe you have super strong opinions on coyote frames and think it owns that you're required to use them to do certain jumps, and, I mean, very few in the end is nigh, but in whatever game that you're familiar with that has coyote jumps, or coyote frames, sorry. Brain getting twisted. And maybe you make a platformer entirely designed around that. Because, like, it's not hard to, like, think of a premise for a game, right? Now, would it be a good platformer if you force the player to kind of, like, guess how much they can run off a platform? Probably not, but I'm not saying you couldn't do a good job with it. Like, maybe you have, like, a meter on screen that elucidates how many frames of coyote frames you have left. Maybe that's just, like, how your jump mechanic... you could go to, like, the ultimate extreme, which is, like, there's that one game... Or I think there's two, actually. I think there was a sequel. I think it's called Bloody Trapland. There was, like... The entire idea of it was, like, infinite coyote frames. Or at least... I mean, that wasn't the entire idea behind the game. The entire idea behind the game was just kind of, like, online multiplayer, trolly... I mean, original I Wanna Be the Guy-esque platforming. Which, I don't know. I don't have the... the best opinions of that either. But, yeah, something interesting they did that I don't think I've ever seen since or before that is, they just fully let you walk off a platform and still have the jump button. Like, you are always allowed to jump, no matter how far you walked off the platform. You can wait, like, a full, 10 seconds, given there's enough room, and, still get your jump off. Maybe I'm misremembering, but that's kind of how I recall it. I never played the game. I only saw it played because I'm a I'm a sinner in the games community. But I do that for a lot of games. Don't actually play them, but just watch people play them. Because I don't know. For a lot of games, you kind of just get the idea without needing to play it. And Bloody Trapland was definitely one of those cases where I knew, like, I hate that kind of platformer where it's just, like, bullshit appears out of nowhere. Like, I can live with it in fan games every now and then, but I would never play, like, a fan game. Or at least, I'm not saying I would never play it, because I might. But I would never take enjoyment out of, like, a lot of the really shitty trap fan games that are just, the same old tricks start to back. There are some that are really funny that I've seen that are actually, like, I don't know. It's less of, like, a game at that point and just, like, a playable meme. But there have been funny trap games. It is possible, though difficult to pull off without strictly being annoying. Because I feel like a lot of people, like, design it as not just we are here to give the player an enjoyable experience, but we are here to make the player mad. And that's the kind of trap game I don't want to play. But, it can be done well. Okay, so, is it like this, for example, if you want to land on top of this block, you kind of have to do a coyote frame jump. Maybe I was still on the platform there, but it felt like I walked fully off before making that jump. But you kind of have to not hit your head on it. Oops. But yeah, I do think that it's a positive if you care to make games in your life, you probably should play just a shit ton. And I talked about reaching out to different genres because there is something to that. Like, if you do want to make something entirely new that's never been done before, right? You should definitely experiment with a lot of different genres in what you play. Like, stick to the things you enjoy, right? But if you're a person that's like, I want to make games, but I literally only enjoy League of Legends, you're probably just gonna make League of Legends with, like, some balance changes, and it's probably gonna be worse. Although, maybe better, because I don't know. From the way everyone talks about League of Legends, it seems like pretty much everyone hates basically every aspect of it. But, I don't know. I feel like that's just how online games get at a certain point. I just don't like MOBAs in general. But still, there's something to that, right? Like, there's something to that. I don't like MOBAs, but why don't I like MOBAs, right? Even though I don't like this genre, I can look into it and try and figure out, you know, what do I think the problems with this genre are, and maybe, even though I don't like MOBAs at all, could come to a few ideas to make a MOBA that I actually enjoy. Though, honestly, probably not. Because, like, all of the things that other people enjoy about MOBAs, I think are just the worst thing in the world. Can't believe I lived there. Like, a lot of people love, like, the item building, right? Like, that's a big thing in MOBAs. Or, I don't know. Am I going crazy, or did I hear that